Hi, it's Mitch along with Chris here with your free picks for the ACC college football games for Week 9 of the 2020 college football season. Of course, we have free picks on every game every day at sportschatplace.com. And, of course, our best bets are the ones that we put in the premium area. Those can be found underneath the premium picks tab. We give out thousands of free picks every single month between us and our website. And, of course, we try and win them all. You know, we know we just give out picks for the sake of giving out picks, but the ones that we like the very best, the ones like we get to cherry pick, the ones that we're actually betting. I certainly don't bet 1,600 games a month, but the ones that I like the best, the ones we're betting, the ones we're most confident, these are the ones we put in the premium area underneath the premium picks tab, and we make those available if you want them. But of course, a little different format for doing the videos this week. We're just trying something different. We're going to group them together by conference since we are in conference play. Just kind of go through them in this format, more of a casual back and forth and not having to hear my intro and outro all the time. But like Chris got a smaller slate for the ACC. I was trying to find some with Miami, Florida State, and a few others off. But Syracuse and Wake Forest get things started.
Yeah, I know for sure. Still a quality game. I mean, you got Wake Forest. It's 3-2. They're 4-1 against the spread this season, but they lost and didn't cover the one game on the road, and the majority of their success come at home. You look at Syracuse. Well, it's not a good Syracuse team this year for Dino Babers, 1-5, and has turned to their backup quarterback. This is going to be a sloppy game, but a sloppy game that we see a lot of points in. So I'm gonna side with the over 59 here.
I have very little faith in Syracuse. I know they're not going to see anything like what they saw last week against Clemson, but they're still going to see more than they can handle. Syracuse, they hung with Clemson for a while there, and I think that's why you're going to see a little bit of public backing here on the orange. I just don't think the team is good enough from what we've seen the other 5 games, throughout the year, and the final quarter of that game as well. So, the other 5 3/4 of the season. Second game on the card. Speaking of Clemson, they take on Boston College. This was a game last year that I thought was going to be close. We had a similar line. I believe it was in the 28 to 28.5 range. And I thought Boston College was going to be able to keep it close. Maybe I learned my lesson. They can't keep it close. This Clemson team is something special. Trevor Lawrence enjoying his days on top of the world before he becomes a Jet or a Cowboy or, something like that. And, he's just not going to be able to have, the difference between the NFL and college football, you get to recruit your teammates, while in the NFL, it's pretty much stuck with the hand that you're dealt in a salary cap. Chris, Trevor Lawrence show back home in Death Valley. What do you think?
We've seen Boston College on the road twice this season. The first one was in opening week against Duke, and they won that game handily. And the last time it was that beat down 26-point loss to Virginia Tech, and unfortunately for the Eagles. And I think we're going to see more of what we saw against Virginia Tech with Clemson. I think Clemson's going to lay the hammer down. I think Boston College has a good quarterback. It's a team that plays pretty good defense. It could run the ball well, but Clemson just does it a lot better. So I'm going to lay the points with Clemson in this one.
Dabo Swinney is a good coach, and good coaches know how to motivate their players. And I think what he saw through 3 quarters last week against Syracuse, it was probably a very motivating week of practice for the Tigers. And my guess, it's not going to be one that they look forward to having ever again. And, I just think that Clemson is going to be razor sharp in this one. Look for perfect execution and near perfect execution. Look for an absolute drubbing. I'm going to take Clemson in this one. Our next one, speaking about drubbing, we got a Georgia Tech team that's been drubbed and redrubbed, 2-4 on the season, hosting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, coming off their first road game of the year last week, a win at Pitt, a convincing win. In the game where I took Pitt, I lost, but I was within 42 points. And I was getting 10.5, so really I was within 32. It's 4 touchdowns and a field goal and a half a point for those you keeping track at home. Yeah, some of my picks are better than others, and let's hope that we get one better one here. Chris, Notre Dame had a weapon added to their repertoire last week. They were able to go over the top in the passing game, and that opened things up.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it's going to open things up here against the Georgia Tech team that just hasn't had many answers for much of anything this season. And, Notre Dame, we talked about how they haven't shown up in certain spots this year. They didn't show up much against Louisville and didn't show up the week before defensively against Florida State. I think we get a fully focused Notre Dame team here, and it feels very chalky for me, but I'm still going to lay the points with Notre Dame in this spot.
I like Notre Dame, but I like the over better. I think we're going to see plenty of points in this thing. Notre Dame has given up a lot of points in games this year too. I think that Georgia Tech probably gets on the board enough, and you have a big number there, so I'm kind of like leaning away from the 3 touchdowns on the road. So I think for me, I'm just going to stick with the over. I think it's an easier play. We got Virginia Tech against Louisville. Louisville 2-4 on the season, majorly disappointing. Virginia Tech 3-2. Boy, that game against North Carolina, just not really great. In that one, but 0-3 on the road for the Hokies. 0-3, 1-2 on the road, and 0-3 against the number is what it is. Meanwhile, Louisville just 2 wins on the season, but 2-1 against the number at home.
Yeah, made a lot about Louisville and their issues this season, but make no mistake, Virginia Tech's been no prize either. I mean, you look at what they've done on the road; they have a tendency to play down to their opposition or even play up, but still it's not enough. I mean, you look at what they did against North Carolina. Yeah, they scored 45 points, but they also gave up 56. And then you have games against Wake Forest and Duke. They just played to the level of their opposition, and I think that's what we have here as well. I think Louisville is going to be playing with house money at this point. They don't have much else to lose at this point. They're going to show up here and give Virginia Tech their best, and I think we can easily see this one finish within a field goal, if not have Louisville win it outright. So I'm going to take Louisville in the points.
I still don't like Louisville's tackling. I'm not going to buy into it. I think we see a more fundamentally sound effort here from Virginia Tech. I'm going to have to take the other side, Chris. I'm going to go with the Hokies in a pretty tough game. We got Duke hosting Charlotte. Charlotte scheduled the ACC this year. They were supposed to play North Carolina earlier. That game was postponed or canceled, however it ends up being. But Charlotte 2-2 on the season, 3-1 against the number, 3-0 against the spread on the road, and heading into Duke against kind of like you have that small school in a step-up game, but actually a spot where they could have some success. Duke just 1-5 on the season, really one of the lesser of the Duke teams we've seen in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. This is also a Duke team that's given up over 153 rushing yards a game, and that's where Charlotte's done a lot of their work this season. They're also scoring 31 points as well, and you look what Duke's done offensively. Mitch, like you said, it's been one of the lesser Duke teams under David Cutcliffe, only putting up 21 points a game and giving up 30. And I think Charlotte has a chance there if they run the ball successfully. I could see this one keeping within a touchdown, so I'll take a shot with Charlotte the points.
I think Charlotte comes into this one with a chip on their shoulder. I think they give Duke all they can handle, even possibly pulling the upset in this one. We're seeing a lot of the money going on to, a lot of the bets being made on Duke in this game, but the line moving in the opposite direction. So I think there's not a lot of people with me in my thoughts, but there's some people with some pretty deep pockets, and I think I'll side with them. We're going to go to the Virginia against North Carolina game. This line looks suspiciously low, plus 6.5 for the Wahoos. North Carolina, they've looked super convincing in all of their wins, but their loss to Florida State, they looked super vulnerable. Virginia held their ground against Miami last week. They had, the defense looked really good. The offense, they had their moments. They certainly have quarterbacks that can run the football effectively. I don't like the revolving door, this alternating quarterback thing. It's never been anything that's been successful. I think Virginia, and I hate to call Bronco Mendenhall out of all coaches, but just make a decision and go with it.
No, absolutely. I'm tired of the two quarterback system as well, and you look at North Carolina. They've had their fair share of battles. Virginia Tech game, like we mentioned earlier, and only beating Boston College by 4 on the road. Virginia hung with Miami last time out, but that's one game. You look at before that, double-digit losses to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. An NC State team that, by all intents and purposes, North Carolina, handled pretty well last week, even without their starting quarterback. But I'm still going to lay the points with the Tar Heels on the road. I think North Carolina's the play here.
I think I'm going to go the opposite way here. I'm going to go with Virginia. Something looks funny here to me. I think this line just looks super suspicious, and normally when something looks funny, especially in these late games this year in college football, that everything after 6 o'clock Eastern time starts have all gone doggy. They've gone like the weird, way. The weirder, the weirder it looks, the weirder it goes. And I think this one to me just looks really, really fishy. Tell you, I'm not a fisherman, but I could be if I fished. And I'm gonna take Virginia in this one. Now I'm gonna hook them and put a couple bucks on it. But anyways, my picks for the ACC this week are Wake Forest, Clemson, the over in the Georgia Tech Notre Dame game, Virginia Tech, Charlotte, and the Virginia Cavaliers. Chris, how about you?
For me, I have the over in the Wake Forest Syracuse game. I got Clemson laying the 31 points. And I got Notre Dame minus 20, Louisville plus 3.5, Charlotte plus 9, and North Carolina minus 6.5.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Of course, if you're looking for more free picks, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us on our live shows. We go live every day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We give out tons of free picks on those shows, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and join us.